Thanks for joining us for this walk and learn. Before we get started, take a moment to choose a route, somewhere that will take you around 20 minutes, maybe 2 or 3 kilometers in length. It could be around your school's neighborhood, through a park, or even laps around the school gym. You're also welcome to find a space to do some gentle stretching if that suits you more today. The goal is to move your body gently, breathe deeply, and give yourself some space to think. As we walk, I'll share ideas, stories, and questions for you to reflect on. You'll have time between each prompt to notice your thoughts, pause, and really explore what's coming up for you. There's no rush. This is all about curiosity, reflection, and connecting with your own learning and teaching. So grab your water, take a deep breath, press start on your fitness tracker, and let's get moving. When I think about the process of being creative, what I value most is the learning that happens along the way. It's not just about the polished final product, it's about the messy drafting, the problem solving, the redefining of ideas, and the sense of ownership that comes from knowing this is mine. The fact of the matter is, learning is built through effort and reflection. Traditionally, plagiarism was about taking someone else's words, copying them word for word, or rephrasing them slightly, and pretending they were your own. The problem with that is pretty clear. It hides the actual thinking of the learner. We end up with polished words, but no window into the student's real understanding. Generative AI has changed the conversation. Now we're in what Dr. Sarah Eaton calls the post-plagiarism world. A time when simply checking whether something is copied isn't enough. Dr. Eaton talks about new tenets of writing in this era, that there is a possibility that our creativity is enhanced, that language barriers disappear, and that hybrid human-AI writing will become normal to us. That comes along with the caveats that we can relinquish the control over our writing, but we still hold ultimate responsibility for what is written. It means that marking attributions in our work becomes more important, and that historical definitions of plagiarism are less helpful to us now. To Dr. Eaton, plagiarism now is about the responsibility we take over the extremely human work of producing something from scratch, from our own curiosities and imagination. So, what does this mean for us in our work as educators? It means our role in assessment is shifting. We're not just looking at the end product anymore. We have to pay attention to how students are working, their process, their drafts, their reflections, their voice. That's how we can assess accurately and fairly in a world where AI is part of the landscape. At the heart of it, academic integrity in this new era isn't just about rules. It's about trust, honesty, and valuing the journey of learning. And as Eaton reminds us, integrity in a post-plagiarism world is about reimagining what authentic learning looks like. That's something AI can't replace. So now, time for some questions for you to ponder as you walk for the next few minutes. When you think about your own learning, what do you want your work to show? Your effort? Your understanding? Or just a polished final product? What do these values mean for you, your teaching, and for your students? And second, in a post-plagiarism world, is it possible to use AI responsibly while still making sure our thinking and our voice come through? AI tools are showing up everywhere, in our search engines, in our apps, and even in the way students create schoolwork. The fact of the matter is, we can't pretend AI doesn't exist, but what we can do is think critically about how we use it. Critical AI literacy means more than just knowing how to prompt a chatbot. It's about asking better questions. Where did this information come from? Whose voices are included or left out? What biases might be baked into the data? And most importantly, how do I decide when AI is a helpful partner and when it gets in the way of authentic thinking and learning? At its heart, critical AI literacy is about agency. It's about ensuring that learners aren't just consumers of machine-generated content, but thoughtful creators who can recognize the difference between their voice and the voice of the algorithm. I think about my own classroom and moments when it would absolutely make sense for an AI to support a student. That's also balanced by moments when using a Gen AI tool would be detrimental to my students' learning. In this era of change, I think it's fundamental that we think about the purpose of the work we are putting in front of our students and the extent to which tools can support or hinder that purpose. So here's a question to reflect on as you walk for the next few minutes. When you use AI, whether for work, school, or life, are you letting it shape your thinking, or are you using it to deepen and extend your own ideas? What is your hope for your students as they come prepared to live and work in a world where generative is more and more common? Prairieland's AI policies are living documents. They evolve as our understanding of AI grows. Once you get back to your desk, you can find the latest versions on the Staff Hub under the Teaching and Learning tab. Right now, there are 3 classroom-approved tools for when students are directly interacting with an AI agent, and we also have a ready-to-go lesson to help your Division 3 and 4 students begin to develop AI literacy. Being a thoughtful AI user is more than just knowing how to type prompts. It means understanding the underlying mechanics of these tools. How do they generate responses? What kind of data they draw from? And the limitations that come with that. Students also need to recognize the ethical questions these tools raise. Who benefits from the data that AI uses? Whose perspectives might be missing or misrepresented? How do we ensure our use of AI is fair, responsible, and respectful of others' work? Beyond ethics, it's important for students to appreciate the power of language itself, how the words we choose can influence meaning, shape arguments, affect how ideas are understood by others. And perhaps most importantly, they need to think critically about the role AI plays in their own learning, when it can serve as a helpful partner, when it might hinder independent thinking, and how to integrate it into ways that support genuine understanding and growth. So, as you think about your own practice, consider this. Where might you begin exploring these ideas with your students? What questions or challenges excite you, or even make you pause? Take a moment to reflect and identify one clear intention for your work in the coming months, something actionable that you can explore in your classroom. And there we have it, 20 minutes of gentle movement and thoughtful reflection. Before we close, take a moment to notice how you feel right now. Your body, your mind, your energy. Thank you for taking the time to explore these ideas with us today. If you'd like, we'd invite you to share your reflections with us in a quick email. We'd love to hear from you.